Changing the subject for a minute, give us your thoughts on the proposed noise ordinance that's before the city council. And what kind of medium must be struck between the business needs and the residential needs regarding that subject? How would you do that if you were on the council?
Well, in looking at the 469, yes, I can see both. And boy, does that sound like a politician? I'm not a politician. I'm running for political office. But there is two sides to every story. In this case, the raising our decibel level to the 75s and going to 11 o'clock, I find some, I don't know, I find potholes in the argument that this is unlike other cities. Because other cities have disclaimers for special events, which they are not taking into consideration. I also find that the offensive language is something that should be curtailed. So I don't really see the noise level as being as concerned as the, there has to be a decency level, of public decency. And that fits into the, the perspective of Mesquite as being that, wonderful community that everybody wants to visit and live in. I do think that the noise level might be a little bit overblown. And in one of the cases, and I will speak personally, I saw a comment in Mesquite Journals that somebody wrote in that they live off of Hafen in Trailside, and they can hear the music. I'm not, 20 years old, but I'm not deaf either. I live in Trailside, and I cannot hear it. This person has very good ears. And it's, please, whoever you are, still vote for me. But I honestly, it's just, it's my experience that, once you're more than a block or two away from it, you don't hear anything. And when you are even a half a block away from it, you barely hear, I hear more noise from that. I work part-time at Smith's Market as well. And I hear more noise from the cars, from the stereos that are playing, than I do from the outdoor pool parties, which are only once a month in the summer months, that the Casa Blanca puts on, which are not only bringing money into the city from guests and out-of-towners, but providing a cheap source of entertainment for the people who choose to live here.
Yeah.
So I really think that, first off, the decibel levels have to be checked by accurate information. I know that's part of what the sheriff was asking for, was to get new equipment so they can properly monitor that. But then we have to look at, is this an ongoing, and maybe that has to be written in. Is there a special event? Just like, if there's a sirens going off, they don't qualify in the noise abatement. I mean, you have to use a little common sense. And I think that if we looked at this and said once a month, these will be the levels, and maybe that could be how the ordinance is rewritten.
Okay. All right. Last question. Describe one single issue you would advocate for, and tell us how you would do that.
Well, the issue that I'm most in touch with, I'm a businessman. I have been all my life, from being president of a company to working for the Chamber of Commerce, dealing with local business, to the experience of being a one-stop shop when I was president. Boy, you use that word loosely when you own your own company, because it means you do everything.
Yeah.
And that experience, to me, is just something that you learn to have open eyes to what is out there and what is good for you and the community. It's very short-term thinking to say that, if we bring in business A or business B, our problems are solved. It's just the start. And I really, maybe that's too short and simplistic of an answer, but what's really important here is that the people who have chosen to live here and the people who are considering living here and the guests that we have, week in and week out, have an enjoyable experience based on the environment we present.
Okay. All right, so to wrap it up, do you have any comments you would like to pass on to the people who are going to be voting in the election?
Well, parting comments.
Yeah.
My background, again, is business. Whether I was running a multinational company, or whether I was running my own very small company, whether working for the Chamber of Commerce, and as I mentioned earlier, I work part-time at Smith's.
Mm-hmm.
And working at a local supermarket, people say that, why do you do that? Well, first of all, it's a great place to work, and certainly it keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
This is a town that's built on people who work hard. I am looking to be that person who's going to work hard for the residents of this city and for the future residents of this city. In fact, that was my wife and I were tossing around, what should be, my campaign phrase. And it really came down to what I believe in, and that's working hard for Mesquite.
Okay.
I'm working 2 jobs, and I feel very proud of the fact I'm working 2 jobs. I am one of many people in the city who works 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel proud to work for the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce has gone through a great resurgence. This goes back to Ann Miranda when she came in as president and CEO, and now Vicki Walter is doing a great job in her beginning stages and holding that position. Blake Zendergaard, who's the new chairman of the board, is a powerhouse in terms of accomplishing goals that he sees, once again, long-term successful fits for the city. Friends of Gold Butte aligning with the Chamber of Commerce, I think, is a great move, not just for the event, the Gold Butte Days, but for the bigger picture. I think the efforts should be made for things like the Long Drive Championship and for smaller events. That's, of course, that one sticks out.
Yeah.
But the golf tournament from Utah brought in 80 teams. 80 teams from Utah choosing Mesquite as their destination. Figure 20 players per team, plus family, friends, relatives. What does that do for our economy? It's not just Jade Sports who benefits, but it's Smith's Market where I work at. I mean, we were flooded with people.
Right.
The local restaurants were booked solid.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, and of course the hotel rooms. I mean, and that doesn't include the people who went to Rooster Cottage and were looking for consignment or Classic Closet, or Mr. Pawn, and what people coming in from a larger city in Utah, they can go to Macy's, they can go to Target.
Right.
They're looking for unique things. We have those. Let's promote those. Let's exploit those. And again, using exploit in a good way.
Yeah.
Let's make everybody prosperous in this town. Let's take the time to evaluate each decision as a long-term decision. Let's not rush the judgment.
Okay.
And let's not make the judgments before the city, when I'm talking the city, I'm talking the people of the city, have a chance to hear and know what their options are. As I declined to answer on a few points because I didn't have proper information, picture you're a Joe C. citizen and you've been working hard all day, maybe 2 jobs, and you come home and you might read the Mesquite Journal, the Desert Valley Times, the local Mesquite News, but at a certain point, overflow of information. And all of a sudden, something's coming to a vote on something you might have just heard hearsay about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have time to really evaluate a decision? Do you have even create an opinion? I don't think so. I think there has to be more transparency in government. I think that we need, as a city, to involve the community. This is not Los Angeles, this is not Las Vegas. You can easily say, well, we got 3 million people, how can we get the word out to everybody?
Yeah.
We're at quote unquote 19,000. It's debatable at different times, but yes, let's say we have 19,000 people at peak.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that difficult to get your message out in advance. And I remember, from years of experience in business, you just have a balance sheet. You draw a line, and pluses and minuses, what's good, what's bad. And in California, on the ballots, when we would have initiatives, we had a pro and a con that both had to be printed on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard for us to do it here. Noise abatement, pro, con. And this isn't, please don't take this a knock on the media,
No.
but this would be something the city council should provide. Because if they're making a decision based on the pro and the con, well, let's see what information they're using.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate your time today with us, Chuck, with the Mesquite Citizen Journal. Good luck on the campaign trail, and we're sure to see you out there at all the upcoming forums. So we appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.